Just type that. Gang, we is live. Well, one of us is. I'm live. Mary Lou is dead. But she here.
Somewhere in between.
Cause she's a thug. Thug gangster. Uh this is totally jacked up. But one of my favorite songs from back in the day is I need a gangster bitch. A gangster bitch. Do you know that song?
I think so.
Oh my God, it's such a good song. It's such a hilarious song. Anyway, family, we are going to get into today something really incredible here on Creators Unstuck. And I've been meaning to do this for a while, and it just keeps escaping my head because I'm a senior citizen. Not quite, but getting there. So I had the benefit of hanging out with my partner over here, who is an excellent producer. Like I have seen her produce in real life, and then Jill and myself in the Daniel. Who is she? What is she? Ooh, what? How does she? Ooh, like we was floored. Like cause people throw that word around a lot. It's just one of the words. I'm a producer. If you go to L.A., if you even remotely cute, some person, male or female, would roll up on you with a business card talking about their producer. They just want to have sex. Um, but I'm like, what does the actual producer do besides trying to get in your drawers? What does the actual producer do? So when you are running your own showgram and trying to content create, we are being forced to be our own producers. And I was like, I'm pretty positive Ken folks don't necessarily know what that is. Our industry likes to tell people to do stuff and don't explain it. So I'm explaining.
Hmm.
Well, I ain't explaining shit. Mary Lou is explaining today. So, first question, homie. Break it down for us. What exactly does a See, Tommy said it right there. Tommy said, I thought the producer just funds the film. I might be wrong, Tommy, but that's the EP, not the extended play. That's the executive producer. Executive producer is the money bags. The real producers produce because Mary Lou ain't got no damn money. I can tell you that right
We're not doing that. No.
I can tell you that right now. I'm joking. So, what exactly does a producer do on a project, and which of those responsibilities does one person creator have to carry, whether they know it or not? Like, what are we doing, whether we actually know that's what we're doing, that's producing? You know what I mean? Like flesh that out for us.
Yeah. Well, creators don't realize that you are already a producer because if we look at the word produce, we are going to produce a result, right? That's where I look at producer is it is our job to produce the desired result in any way that we need to. Now, I do know on movie sets and stuff, like they can just throw around the producer credit for anybody who throws a little money, who they want to like fluff up a little bit. So you're correct. Not every producer is a like boots on the ground producer, but that's what I do. Is like you got to produce the results of something. Now, as creators, we are responsible for the entirety of it. So you are the talent, but you are the producer because it is up to you to be malleable enough and be creative to think of like what needs to happen in order to make this result happen. So whenever I talk about being a producer, it's that I will do what I need to do to make the result happen. And like, I'm not trying to go to jail, I'm not trying to hurt nobody, but I will do what I need to do.
I just want to know why you felt the need to specify that while you're looking at me.
No, like okay, so it's because of I just watched the documentary for America's Next Top Model,
Oh, I wanted to watch that.
and yeah, they're just like reality show is a whole different game, and that's something I'm really grateful I didn't accidentally land in because I feel like I would have done well, but I would have sold my soul because they're really doing whatever they can to get the storyline and including really insidious stuff. And
Oh,
I
I
was
can tell
probably
you.
like one, hey, I got a gig for you away from going that route. So I'm grateful that the path didn't take me that way.
I also, of course, we had Real World Hawaii, and I am
Mm-hmm.
real good friends with Rufy Ann, who was in the show. But then because of the show, I'm real good friends with Tech. Like Tech was my boy because they used to always bring them to the club. And one of the things, I'm probably not snitching at this point, one of the things that we had to be willing to do in order to have them come to the club, of course, we wanted them to come because everybody would find out that Real World is filming, yo, club's packed. And you can't keep a secret in Hawaii. We all know each other. So it spreads around. And so, like, one of the security people might tell their kids, oh, I'm doing this thing for Real World tonight. And those kids can't go to the club, but they just snitch to somebody who can. Yo, the club's way more packed than normal. But we kind of had to tell our bouncers, hey, when these people in here drinking, do not like card them, do not get them in trouble for underage drinking. We kind of just need to let that slip. And I'm positive, like they were instigating, people doing fornicationing type situations and getting on each other's nerves and that. I'm like, y'all are. So I seen it with my own eyes. Like I know that show
Yeah.
specifically was doing some dirt because we had to let them kin folks walk around in our club. So it is what it is. All right, so I want to posit the next question, and I did posted it. I posted it in the chat because my Ecamm chat is making weird things pop up. It says, when a solo creator says, "I'm not a producer, I'm just making videos," how do you pop that belief bubble?
When a solo creator, if a solo creator says, I'm not a producer, I'm just making videos, you are minimizing the amount of work and skill that actually does go into this that you do have. That you do have. If you have produced a short form video, you produced a video. Producer produces a result, right? This is a production, meaning we're taking multiple elements of different things in order to create a result. You are doing that. Whether it is just you and your phone, if it's you, a microphone, a phone, and a light, you talking to the phone, you produced this result. You are a producer.
I like that. Yo, Tommy, this is this story of my life, bro. This is the story of my life. I don't know why my comments on the vertical stream are so tiny, but we're gonna ignore that. Anyway, yeah, Tommy's correct. That when people see like your real life, I had some buddies. We went to NAB, and these are people I talk to all the time. I had no idea these brothers was like 6'6". I go meet them, and I'm like, "Sup, fool? Hi. Oh, snap! This kid is huge." you know. Funny one. A member of my audience who comes in every once in a while, Sammy. Sammy was always like the little nephew for the whole crew because Sammy was like 17 and like everybody knew Sammy. He was trying to go to film school, whatever. Man, we met Sammy in real life. Sammy is like 6'2", and I like, how he just looked like a little kid on camera, but he's a huge boy. So his mama was feeding him big time. But yeah, it is one of those things that the camera definitely can mess you up. So I love that comment. All right, so let me poppy the next one in the chat. Boom, this is good. Mary Lou's coming through with smoke today, so even though she don't feel good, I do, I do, I do like this. Okay, so what is the single biggest mistake that professional producers never make twice? That's a tough
What
question.
is the single biggest mistake you see self-producers make that professional producers never make?
Well,
When
maybe never
you
make
are,
twice because they all going to make this mistake once.
I'll
But
never
once
make
they
twice.
learn it, it's
Yeah.
one of those ones that you kind of keep to the vest and like, okay, this is not happening again.
This is interesting. It could go a bunch of different ways because where the element is different as a creator is you are the creator and the producer. Sometimes as a producer, like when I got a lot of my like producer muscles, I'm not also talent. That is a very unique skill set in like if you're just looking at just being a producer and having to do both. The like what is the biggest mistake? But
Well, let's break it down then. Maybe because you have been talent first, did that
mhm.
did that in any way shape your producing?
I would say I was more producer first before I was talent, and I would
Oh,
say that helped me with being talent because I
ah,
understood listening what needs to happen and putting myself in a like it's not about me. All the cameras aren't pointing at me because it's about me. I am a piece of the production. So it's
ah.
easy for like talent to feel like you're the center, but you are just an element. You're like not even in the driver's seat. Like you're on the dash. You're the little
Yeah.
Hawaiian dancer on the dash. You're not
the,
even like
the
driving at all.
dashboard hula dancer that go like that.
She's like, yes.
So
What do you
because
need me
you
to
think about it
do?
for our shows, right? For this, no matter how much we try to explain to people, Creators Unstuck isn't Doc and Mary Lou. Main character energy is the Chet. Like Tommy is
Mm-hmm.
is the lead role, the best leading man right now. Because he can do magic and whatnot. So it's funny because I think a lot of especially creators, they put that weight on themselves, and it can definitely jack up your brain because you're feeling like you have so much to perform to, but not really. Like, you're not main character energy, your audience is main character energy. And I know that's a struggle when you only have 5 people, but only 5 people is a whole audience, right? If
Yeah.
you Okay, check this out. You know how 5 people is a big audience? You could walk out into your living room naked, ain't nobody home, you don't care. Okay, if Sandy's at home, nobody care. But there's 5 strangers sitting in your living room, you kind of might not want to come out there naked. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, people act like, oh, if I have such a small audience, yeah, do that naked. It's not a small audience. I bet you scared. Unless you're just an exhibitionist like Paul, that's a different story, right? So, don't count that. Even though your audience is just starting, they're the main character. So take some of that load off yourself. And you just said something that blew my mind, because I feel like when we hear it on Hollywood, we always see like Noah Wiley is the producer for Pitt, but Noah Wiley was character first. So I feel like most people do it that way. The fact that you did it the reverse way probably makes you a better producer because you also understand the feelings of the talent.
Well, and then there's also like if you go the other direction, if you're going from talent and then your production, then you kind of also have an understanding of the humanity, what the humans need, right? So that's where whenever we're on our production, waters were there, snacks were there. It was like these people are not going to be thirsty or starving because we got to take care of the people. Otherwise, this machine doesn't run, right? That's and that's something that if someone hasn't been talent, they might not understand that like that is a really big job. You have to really like remove yourself from reality to be present in the situation despite everything that's going on and be able to remove yourself enough where you're like there's fires over there but that is not my fire. I have to be this one so I don't start a new fire,
In LA,
right?
please be careful how you throw that around. you might you
Right? No,
might, might start
seriously.
something. Yo, I'm laughing at the Tommy because these Tommies in the chat is confusing me now because you're right. We have 2 Tommies in the chat today. We got Magic Tommy and then we got Tommy J. So yeah, hey, you know what? You guys can be the star of the show. I'm gonna use the Magic Tommy's question to lead into the next question, or a statement to lead into the next question. He said, I would suggest underestimating the amount of time required to get the job done. So, going on to what I was going to bring up as the next question, it's funny because I have to paste it into the YouTube chat over there and then bring it over
Uh-huh.
here because this is doing
Fun.
something goofy right now. So, it's messing my head up. But, Gabe, damn it, Gabe. Hi, Gabe. So I think this is great. So no, man. See, my hold on, people. I did the same question twice. I'll just say it with my whole face. Um, Pre-production is definitely seemingly the most unsexy part of this. This is something that I am forever screaming about when I get certain uh, tech support, messages or questions for feature requests or whatever inside the eCam side of situation. I feel my personal feelings, and my personal feelings do not reflect that of the strategic partnership director at eCam. These are my personal feelings, but I feel like everybody wants to skip pre-pro and they want the program to do all of this pre-pro for them. By pre-pro, I mean pre-production. And my personal opinion upon that is a mistake because although I would call AAA now to come and change my tire,
Mhm.
but I do know how to change the tire. And the reason why that's important is yeah, I'm suited and booted. I don't want to get dirty, and I actually paid for AAA to come and change the tire, but I'd want to know how to do it because if I'm ever somewhere, when we in ECAM territory and we in them backwoods, bro, you better know how to change the tire by yourself and change it quick, cause something coming out that forest to get you, be it
Mm.
the the people that live there or some random aminos that you don't know about, Kakiyabara or one of those kind of. That's not the right word. A chupacabra. I'm a Puerto Rican. I forgot that. Anyway, I think it's important that you know how to handle these things by yourself. So to make the long story short, pre-production feels unsexy, but what goes wrong when you skip it? And what do you think is the minimum viable version of that for a solo creator? Like, what does pre-production look like for a solo creator?
For a solo creator, the minimum that you can do for pre-production is has an idea. Like, have an idea about
She
what you're
made
going
it
to talk
smaller than
about.
I thought. Okay, flesh that one says flesh. Let it cook. 'Cause
Okay,
that was
so
not
like,
what I was expecting. You floored me just now. Holy crap!
because if you don't have that's the minimum, because you can start, you get on camera. If you don't even have the idea, that's when people start to reinforce their insecurities that they don't know what to say. Like these insecurities you have, but like you reinforce it when you don't prepare. And now, of course, you don't know what to say because you didn't plan anything to say. So you got to have at least an idea, like be a good date. Where are we going? What are we going to do?
Wow, like was not expecting that. Listen, I'm have to. Oh, don't do that. I have to mark this answer because that family. I was not in any way, shape, or form expecting that. I was expecting something totally different, and it's a wild thought, but 100%. If you don't prepare, then yeah, you are making space for not only the mistakes to come up, but when the mistakes come up, to give yourself every reason as to why you're not enough to do what you're doing. But you set yourself up for that failure and then going to have the audaciousness to be like, oh, I'm not good. You talking bad about my friend now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I was not I was I look, I came into this, honestly, people, this is super funny. I came into this because I wanted to give something for you guys and I wanted to clear some air and of course let Mary Lou shine at what she does quite amazingly enough. But I'm getting schooled right here because that is definitely it. We have totally jumped in the circle and we wasn't ready to get that. And it's funny because on the other show I did just prior to this, The Flow with Katie and I, we rearranged some things and now I have to produce the show myself. And in order to make it work with my brain flow, I actually changed the production flow of the show because I know it works for this stubborn melon. And now that I'm doing the pre production, I'm with Gabe. I forgot how much I actually like the pre production, right? Going in, setting up the interstitials, the bumpers, whatever you want to call them, adding these different types of scenes and making it so we have backups on top of backups on top of backups, things that maybe other people wouldn't do, like I'm going to do. In a prime example, everyone wants us to like, oh, make it so that when you play an audio file in Ecamm, they're all the same level. Yeah, that still wouldn't work the way you think it works, and it would also put a lot of extra weight on the machine, and it's going to make it more problematic than you know. So what I do, I just took all of the videos that came in today. We had 5. I put them on a timeline inside Final Cut. I put a spacer in between each one. I put the bumper for the show. We have a little bumper, flow mailbag, boom. I put the bumper in between each one after the spacer. And I just saved that file and I said to Alphonic, can you make all of these guys the same level? And one of the people who asked the questions just asked it with a bad mic situation, but easily fixed. Alphonic fixed it. And then I just take that and I just export it and it's good to go. So when I bring it to Ecamm, I just have it play and then stop. And then when you start again, it starts from where you stopped. It's actually super simple. It took not even 5 minutes to do what I did. Now, I am really quick in Final Cut. So let me say that took you 10, 15. If you take more than 15, you tripping. Like even Gretchen, who only uses iMovie, could have done that in 15. Wait, she here? Okay, she's not here. Whew, safe. She got to take care of the grandkids this week. I'm safe. Even if she had to do it in iMovie, it still would have been quicker than messing yourself up by bringing them in and all the audio is like flying all over the place. So I mean, yo, it actually could even been done in something like CapCut. So yeah, I really
Mhm.
like that. Let me see. I got I got more. So Tommy said, "It's one thing to sit in a room by yourself with no idea versus sitting in front of a live camera when you have no idea where you're going. One leaves no witnesses while the other one leaves a bunch behind. 100% Tommy. Like, it's that thing where someone causing you to do a toast
Mm.
and you had nothing prepped, you didn't think about it, whatever. Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me because I do pay attention to people and I pay attention to their stories, and I'm in love with that. I'm in love with knowing more about the people around us. Mary Lou, you're very good at that. When we go somewhere and there's a stranger in the mix, you find a way to find out things about them so that I got to see her do this really, really well. We're producing a show, and these are the talent. She went and did like a kind of little mini interview with each of the talent people, having nothing to do with what's going to be on production, but she knew how to handle each one of those people. And they don't even notice that they're getting Mando mind tricked. It's different from Jedi. They don't. They don't do one of these. They had no idea that they're getting Mando mind tricked, but I seen it happen with my own eyes. So, yeah. All right. So I have another one. Talk to us about the producer mindset. I think there is a, I don't want to call it a misnomer because it's not a misnomer, but there's this idea that there's a, you know, personality trait or something that sort of makes you a skillful producer. But is it something that anybody can do or that you can teach yourself, or do you really believe that there is a producer mindset?
I think on when you think of like a big set, there's a place for everyone. Not everyone is built for the same kind of heat, right? So as a producer, you're like the conductor. You got to make sure everything is working in harmony and you can't hyperfixate on anything. And if you're the type of person that loves to hyperfixate on something, it might be a challenging role. And on a bigger set, maybe it's better for you to go work like props so you can hyperfixate on some details or something like that. So that's on a bigger set. But once we're looking at just a solo creator situation, I do think everyone can develop the skill set. You can strengthen the skill set. But the main thing is you have to keep in mind that you need to have the big picture in mind because our job is to produce a result. It is not to produce every single detail in perfection because that's not possible. So you have to be able to think like, where can I, what is something that doesn't matter as much? What's urgent? What has to happen now? What's urgent that someone else can do? What's urgent that I can do? That's what's urgent that I have to do. There's like a matrix that I forget what that is called, but
The
where you kind of
Eisenhower
have to
Matrix,
I think that's it. Yes,
the
where you have
four
to like kind of quickly
quadrants.
make choices.
Yeah.
Like if it's urgent and you have to do it, it's urgent someone else can do it. It's not urgent and you don't have to do it. Like you have to make those choices very quickly. And it's the only thing that you really get better the more you do it.
Okay.
It's like going to be hard at first,
All right, let's get the
but
right
it's
answer.
but it's fun.
My brain just went fire. Now I got to know.
Mhm.
What is the decision making matrix that goes something to the nature of if it's urgent and you have to do it, or urgent and you don't have to do it? What is that decision making matrix called? Just going to ask my little chatty friend because sometimes they know stuff and I just want to know it. It is the Eisenhower Matrix. Hey, this dude is gangster.
Good
He is
job.
gangster. It's
He's
do
good. He
first,
knows
schedule,
things.
delegate, and avoid. Those are the basics of the Eisenhower Matrix. So I was right. I just thought you had a different one that was different from what I
Yeah.
learned. But this is military all day long. Like they teach us Eisenhower
Mm-hmm.
Matrix. If you're unfamiliar with people, like we're not going to regurgitate what has been told like a million trillion thousand times. Go look up the Eisenhower Matrix and just get it in your study. Many of the productivity softwares like Things and Apple Reminders, some of these are built based off of the Eisenhower Matrix. And whatever your favorite version of that is, by all means, you can sneeze on the mic. I don't care. Wait, I have my rags too because I got the sniffles today. It's just freezing in my basement. Look, I got heater over here now because it's crazy. But yeah, it's the Eisenhower Matrix. Okay, so you said something about being able to develop those skills. So let's say I still got it in my head that I'm not a producer, but I need to start producing. What would be some of the things that I would do to develop those skills?
So at its core, it's closing the gap between idea and execution. What do we need to do when we look at this to start to close that gap? Those are the base level essential skill set is that you need to just look at you've got idea and execution, what's holding you back in between there. Once you start to build those, like noticing what those pockets are and what those road bumps are, and then you can start to fix it, and then you start to fix it faster. So there's things that were like early in my producing things that would be like, oh my gosh, this is never going to work. That now are like, whatever, it's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it out, right? That we can't fixate forever on like, is the background correct, right? We got to make it good enough in order to get there to the next step. We can't fixate between idea and execution. There's like, 100 things, let's say. You can't fixate on every single 100 things. You have to look at the whole. How can we make everything good enough? Because I tell you, when you're watching stuff on TV, there's stuff taped together. There's somebody holding something like it is good enough. There's somebody who's behind the stage just like holding the two lights together so they don't fall apart and they don't fall onto an actor. It's good enough, right? But these are the decisions you have to make. So the skill is learning to make decisions decisively, quickly. It's very like military, right? Like you think like there's a timeline. I think that also is helpful for people too. Like when we're solo producers, we're like, I have all the time in the world. So I can just F around. But in like
You're gonna
a
have to find
production
that.
that, right. But like, so when we do our production out, in the field, it has to happen within this time frame.
Mm.
And we have to go at this time. So everything has to be figured out up until that time, right? We cannot be fiddling with it an hour into when the show started. We have to get it to a working place by this time. So giving yourself deadlines, compressing time, making decisions quickly, closing the gap between idea and execution.
Okay, so I'm gonna this is my mental switch in my head. I don't know if it's right. um, so I'm gonna seek mandaldation in this particular one. I feel like as a solo creator, we're going from idea generator, some people writer, I'm not really a writer, just bullet pointer, camera op, editor, audio engineer. But when I'm switching into producer mode, for me, man, again, man, you be uncracking deep corners of the brain I like to leave shut. But we're going from closing the gap from idea to execution. But I think the hot sauce for me is how do I execute it in a manner that Billy or Tommy or Alicia or Gretchen, how are they going to experience this? So I think in my head, the producer hat is converting it into community language,
Hmm.
converting it into the things that will resonate with them, even if that requires me to look foolish. When you are creating, and I know you have this avatar, of this girl that you're talking to, does the producer mode basically be, is that like switching on Big Sister hat and then putting your content out?
I would say like what you're talking about there, if we're like splitting up the roles, that's more like the director,
Okay.
right? Like that's like they're in a creative sense trying to connect between the project and the audience, right? So then that's another thing with being a producer. If you are working with a team, is to trust that other people know how to do their jobs. You cannot do everybody's jobs when you're working in the group, but when you're solo, you have to do all of it. So that is a little bit of a like a different kind of mindset, right? So
Yeah.
if we go back to the reality show, if the producers are working with um, the model and their job is to get this model to cry, like they're not really worried about the audience. They're worried about how do I get the result that the director told me to get. The director's the one that's like, we got to get somebody to cry because it's going to make the people at home obsessed with this, right? It's going to ignite something. So, but as a solo creator, right, you
Trigger
are
that
doing
emotion.
both, right? And there's something that you got to think of. But I think a lot of that work can happen in the pre-production, the director work. That is like the creative when you're coming up with the idea. Do you have the sensitivity to start thinking about how is that going to land on the person on the other side? And then when you think of all of that is set, all of that is ready. Now you go into production. We have to make it happen.
Right. That's true, right? So it's it's funny because let's just say we're going to make a steak, right? At the end of the day, the role of a steak is to feed a human, to provide them with protein and fat so that their brains can do what their brains need to do. Heart can pump, vitamins and minerals, the whole 9 yards. And the reality is, the only thing it takes to make a steak is steak and heat. And with those two things, steak can be made. But the producer side of it is, Ruth Chris, who, well, Ruth's Chris's Steakhouse. Let's get, Ruth Chris is not a person. um, that one messes up my brain every time. But it's like how to cook it in a manner that makes it juicy and only serve it with just basic salt and don't go too crazy. We're gonna provide a level of ambiance that make people feel special. We're gonna put all these other things into it. That's taking the difference between producing something that works and producing something that connects. Because that's what Lou just said. Can you make a steak that's on the level with Ruth Chris at home? Technically, no, because you don't have the ability to do that 800-degree salamander, but you can get close. I can get close. But the rest of it, the ambiance and the camaraderie, us sitting in our little room feeling like VIPs after car party, hanging out with Johnson, like we can't do that at home. It's just not going to work. It's not the same, right? We were lounged up in that room feeling like kings, right? I can definitely make Din Tai Fung string beans. It still ain't the same as when we doing it at DTF, right? Um, Yo, y'all should have had different initials because that one, the bad talker in my head. Anyway, never mind. Two total different things, right? It's like so. Yeah, you have even heard where an artist sings a song. I was thinking of one the other day. Um, One of Prince's most famous songs is "Feel for You." But most people only know that as a Shaka Khan song, right? I feel for you, Shaka Khan. Think I love you. Most people have no idea that was released on Prince's album first, many years prior. It was released by the Pointer Sisters again a couple years after, but the only one everybody knows is the Shaka Khan version. Because this dude was such a genius, he was like, I need this song to hit tighter. And I wrote it. I know what it's saying. I like the song. I don't like the way I did it. So then he did it with Pointer Sisters, and he was like, it's good. It's not Ruth Chris. What can we do? So he called up Shaka Khan. He's like, hey, Shaka Khan, you want to come to the studio and record this? And she was like, yeah. But he lied and said that he was Sly Stone because she didn't know who Prince was yet. And she walked into the studio. Who's the little dude in the tight pants with the guitar? Oh, that's Prince. And she was like, Prince of what? And then he was like, no, 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 don't run away. Listen, I got this song. I want you to do it. It has to be you. Like, here's my vision. And then he started playing. And then she was like, oh, damn. This little dude can get down. And so, like, he Jedi mind tricked her into making that song and then bringing in, Melly Mel to do Shaka Khan, let me rock it, Shaka Khan. Like, and once it came out, that's the one everybody knows. Her biggest song, what put her on the map, what separated her from Rufus and the whole 9 yards that's a producer, right? Like, that's a person who went in and, like, I needed to deliver it to the audience in the best way. I didn't want this just to be a song. I needed this to be a song that connected a certain way. So it put his own ego out the window, which he obviously had a massive ego. He changed his name to a Mark, but put his own ego out the window to let the same, by the way, content creators, let the same content come out 3 times. But the one the finished one is the one that we all know. Most people don't even know about it. I only know that because I'm a DJ. And I know all 3 versions. I have all 3 versions in my collection. But the general population has no idea that song was put out multiple times. Most of you probably never even heard the Pointer Sisters version or the Prince version. And if you have, you'd be like, wait a minute, I heard that. Even one of Beyonce's most famous songs is actually the one from Frankie Beverly and Mace. But you guys, young kids, only know it as Beyonce. But I was like, Frankie Beverly had us doing that jump long time ago. But, you have to be willing to let that go. So I do believe what Mary Lou is saying, and I really want that to resonate with you. One, you can make the same content multiple times and just improve it a little bit each time. You're sort of realigning the situation. And it really only has to be 3 to 6 months gap in between it. And sometimes you can come right back the next week and be like, hey, I made this video last week. I kind of like, I'm going to do it again. Nobody gonna care. Your ego is telling you that everybody's seen everything. Most of the time they ain't. So you could come back and say the same stuff again. All right. So I did have a question related to, I'm about belief structures, right? So what does a solid belief structure look like for someone who's working by themselves, who is trying to self-produce? Like, what should they be asking themselves before they hit record?
When you first said belief structure, for anyone, whether you're alone or with the group, is like you need to be, as the producer, you need to believe it can be done. Because if you're the person that's like, I don't know, y'all, it's not going to happen. Like, you have to be the one who's like, this is going to happen. And we're going to figure out how to happen. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Right. If you don't believe
Now,
you,
if it's somebody,
why should we?
yes,
Yeah, there you go.
right? So, like, what they should be asking themselves before they hit record is, are we saying like they have to hit record and they're on a time limit, or they have time and they could stop? It's not like the live is happening right now.
I see. I'm weird because I put those limitations on myself. I give
Right?
myself a 2-take max. I was three,
Uh-huh.
and I backed it down to two because even at three, I would cheat and do five.
Mm-hmm.
At least at two, I kind of stick to 2 to 3. So, because some of them you're about to start, and you go, it's okay, that one didn't count.
Uh,
That one didn't count. But no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have to give yourself. If you don't, it's going to take you 7 hours to record.
Yes.
So, I think the constraint has to be there. I think if the constraint
Mm-hmm.
isn't there, then you're going to you're just going to spiral.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. So you have to just trust yourself enough that you've done what you could to make this version of this thing right now, to not be in it forever. Because right, you can come back and revisit it if you do it and you're like, actually, it could have been better. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is part of the creative process. That is something you can and should do with like improvements and some limitations. It's just when people spin and they don't ever put anything out, now we have a problem.
Mm.
But the the things you should ask yourself are, like I feel like I don't know, I feel like I'm just like, let's jump, like leap at that point.
Yes.
Like because you start asking yourself questions and you start to doubt things. But when it's go time, it's go time. So if it's time to hit record, just trust that you did it.
I like that. It is that the belief structure of just jump. But again, what's the other word for trusting yourself, right? It's confidence.
Hmm.
And I think unfortunately we think confidence is too much about bravado and machismo and like I'm Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest. Like no, that's, I mean, that is a level of confidence, but that's not technically what confidence means. Confidence means trusting in yourself, right? And if realizing that you can do it again, like the best part about the type of content that we all create right now, no matter what you're doing, the realize is you can do it again, right? Now, this week we've been watching the Olympics. Many of them things, they can't do it again. That time was their time. But I also saw some really cool joints where it happened to Eileen. It also happened to Li Fan, where the first two runs they fell flat on their butt. The last one they hit flawless entry, like bingo bango. And we saw that on many occasions. There was Gretchen and I were talking about this on Saturday. There was a situation on the ski slopes where the snow was so bad, like the best skiers in the world was breaking their ass on every slide. Like nobody, one race, 52 people didn't finish in a single race because the weather conditions was crazy. But that's not what we're doing here. Like we're doing something where you can just absolutely do it again. So, you know, don't get so stuck in the professional side of it or feeling like you got to be professional. I think professional is being able to take the mistake, make the mistake, learn from that feedback, and then bring it to the next level the next time. And to me, that's more professional. I got big ups to 50 Grand Man. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And I love the little owl symbol because for some reason it made me think of the artist formerly known as Drake that he's been hiding. He's been hiding for a hot minute. Sorry, hardcore Kendrick fan, 50 Grand Man. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming through and watching Creators Unstuck. Lou and I are talking about Lou is a really good producer. So we're talking about what does it take to be a producer and also how to take some of those skills as someone who's been on actual broadcast productions and bring that into the mindset of a solo creator because whether we like it or not, we do have to produce our own content. Now, I
Now,
go
uh,
ahead.
before we go on, like on the case of the Olympics,
Yes.
the people who are at the Olympics, this is not the first time they're doing
Oh no, they're
something.
not.
It is not the 100th time they're doing things.
Yes.
It's like the 10 billionth time they've done it. So it's a different thing than you as a creator making your third YouTube video.
Yes. Thank
It
you for
is a
pointing
different
it. Thank you
game.
for pointing it out because they definitely got them reps in it. We always talk about the reps, right? One thing that I think that's really cool this week, and I'm going to talk about it later. I'm going to guest on the show later today, and I'm going to absolutely talk about this. You know, we know about the the big ones. Right now, curling is one of the most popular, right? Of course, hockey has always been very popular when it comes to Winter Olympics, various forms of skiing. But the guys that are doing skimo, going through the woods, pull out the rifle, the biathlon cats, the guys who, or by guys I mean non-gender specific guys, thank you,
Mm.
um, that are doing things like skeleton. Now, actually, I used to consult a content consult a Olympic skeleton writer by a guy by the name of Kyle, who is aged out of the sport, but these guys are doing sports that don't nobody know about until every 4 years. So they work
Really?
quietly in the cut, and then all of a sudden they going 100 miles an hour on their stomach, like, and I'm like, bruh, you out your mind. The illusion, the skeleton, right? Craziness, right? I think, except for Cool Runnings, most people in the U.S. ain't even thought about bobsled.
Mm.
Then Cool Runnings came out, and that's probably folks' most favorite Olympic sport. We be waiting for them to Cool Runnings. Senka, what you smoking? I'm not smoking. I'm breathing. But I think these are guys who just work quietly in the cut. But when it's their time to come to do their thing, I think as content creators, we got to remember that. Like, it's all of the unseen reps. It's all of the stuff. You talk about the swan when you're like this, and then underneath the swan is like 100 miles an hour, but on the top, you just look mad smooth, right? I didn't even think about that. We see this elegance that is the ice skating, but when you seen practice, like I've been to the skating rink and I've seen the practice here. Believe it or not, we have an
Mhm.
ice rink here in Hawaii, and I've seen the people out there practicing that mess, bro. The same thing over and over and over again ad nauseum. So I think there's a level of work that got to go in, right? Like 50 grand man say yes, 10,000 reps,
Mm.
easy, right? For some of these things, and sometimes I watched oh my god, what's Taylor Swift's brother-in-law? What's his name?
The other Kelsey.
It's Jason. Yeah, man. I
Yeah, okay.
I watch football left, right, and sideways. That takes me a second to think about that right now. Well, he's retired, but also he's Taylor's
Mhm.
brother-in-law. Anyway, he did a training camp with the Olympic bobsled team, and the things that he had to learn how to do, they were like, bro, you're an athlete, so you pick it up quick. But he would tell you how hard that really is. It looks like you're just riding a sleigh. And any of us who ever lived anywhere winter where you got to slide down the hill, you know, that seems like fun. But if you just for you to see how much work goes into something like that, it'd be worth watching that video. And he trained with them and he got to do his first bobsled ride. Yo, big boy was screaming the whole way down. I bet you he soiled his tights. He's like, I didn't know it was like almost 90 miles an hour. Like you hear 90 miles an hour, you see it on the screen, but when you in that thing, it's like it's a whole different, really incredible. But yeah, talk about the reps and sort of seeing what they go through in order to get that level of content creating. Okay, so I know you sick, so we want to get you back to bed, but this one, it might not come out of my face right, but I think there's a lesson in this. Okay, so we're doing an event, card party. There is 8,000 people in the room. There's another 4 or 5,000 people watching, right? Let's call it 14, 15,000 folks involved in this event. What is on Mary Lou's mental checklist to stay mad calm when things go sideways?
Mm. The checklist, when things like, is this when they go sideways or
Yeah.
before they go sideways?
What? Let's do both.
Like once it's gone
Hey,
sideways.
it's your
Okay,
show, girl. You gotta say, hey, you know what? Do what you want.
right? So before things go sideways, like you just want to prep as much as possible, right? So in the role that I was playing in this team, I am trying to just look at the big picture and make sure everything is running where it's supposed to. Now, when something does go sideways, because it happens,
It
it's like
happened. I was
guaranteed.
there.
It's when it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of, okay, let me make a quick decision. Let me be confident in the instinctual decision that I make, because I do say, like, there's a lot of instinct in that position. when you have like competence and confidence that like I looked at what the whole thing is, I know what it's supposed to be, and I know the situation that was at hand was like getting out of my control. Like the natives were going wild. So it's like, no, we're doing this. You got to be mama. You got to be the big mama. You have to be the one who's like, this is how we're going to get back onto the road. Get in the car, shut your mouth, let's go. And not be afraid that that's like going to hurt your feelings
Yes.
because, like, because we are on a time constraint. We have to make something happen. And then there's ways to do that that's not mean, but we have to the checklist of like what needs to happen now, what has to happen now, what's the result I have to make happen, and then what needs to be done in order to put this into place,
Okay, so
right?
let me throw you a
So
curveball real quick.
yeah,
What does that look like when Mary Lou has to produce Mary Lou?
when Mary Lou has to produce Mary Lou and things go sideways.
Yeah, because okay, I'll give you a prime example. You're doing them.
Hmm.
Everyone in the chat, I know you've done this, fam. So if you've done this yourself before, fess up. Raise your hand. Be like 50 Grand Man. Throw us an owl emoji. Throw us some emoji to let us know that you do this too. I have totally been in here. And I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going, and it's starting to spiral. I'm like, bruh, this is not coming out. This is not working. If Luis was here, Luis would tell you because it's in the recording. I'm like, okay, Doc, shut the F up. Get out of your head. Get up. Walk around the room for 3 minutes. Bring your ass back here. Sit down in this chair and say what the F you got to say, pimp. We not being here all day. We got stuff to do. Like I have had to doc me, right? And normally it requires me to get up, walk away for a second. I do the slap it up real quick, not shake it out, whatever. I have my kettle down here. I'll do a quick set, and
Hmm.
then that just looked really weird on camera, but my kettlebell is behind me. But I just gotta change positions. Change positions, and then I can come back and I'm good to go. So when Mary Lou has to self-correct Mary Lou, what does that process look like? And number one, in your head or out loud? Because I'm an out loud person. I have to say it out
Oh
loud,
yeah,
otherwise I stay broke.
I said, bitch, stop it. Like like you got like I feel like with other when you're working with other talent, like it's like I'm going to say what I need to say in order to get the movement to come to happen. You're a little bit meaner to yourself, but like taking a walk really does make a difference. And even like in the group settings too. Like there's sometimes a point where you just like I just need to just do a lap and then we'll figure out what the problem is.
Yeah. I
But
think.
and then also sometimes it's like it's not today. It's just not going to happen today
Oh, thank you.
because we
Oh,
are
thank you.
doing everything. It's okay.
So there's the problem with doing things last minute because I've definitely put myself in this position before. But in the wood shop, we had a thing. Okay, so in the wood shop, there's myself, there's Day, there's my buddy Ty, there's my other buddy Andy, and then Satoshi. Like we were the 5 people in the wood shop. For the most part, we have some other people that come through here and there. But we had a rule. If we make 2 mistakes in the same day, we shut the entire shop. Because it's one thing to mess up $1,000 piece of wood, it's another thing to lose a finger or some random body part. So it was the craziest thing. And when I first heard it from my buddy, because my days is his shop, so he had the most to lose if somebody got hurt. Not only just none of us are going to sue each other. We're all friends, so we think. But it's even the fact of watching one of your friends like damage their livelihood or something. You know what I mean? And then worry about their family. How you going to feed these kids? Whatever the case may be. But when he first, I thought that was crazy. I'm like, bro, you're going to shut down the whole shop because we stained something the wrong color, and then another person got a piece of wood stuck in the saw? Yep. Close the door. There's bad energy up in this bitch today. And you know me, I am the farthest removed from anything like that. For me, facts are facts. But if we had 2 catastrophic mistakes in a single day, we would shut the whole shop and just we go buy ourselves something to eat, go to the bar, drink, come back the next day refreshed and ready to go. And I never made any mistakes on purpose. Don't look at me that way. But it was the best thing ever, and it probably saved us more money than it cost us. Because yeah, like I'm looking at my desk right here. My desk is literally like an $8,000 piece of wood, and if you were to mess this up, you know what I mean? Like that's a hard thing to come back from. You know what I mean? This tree took 400 years to grow. I can't just go to Home Depot and get another one. It's just not going to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to come from a tree. The tree has to dry for 3.5 years before you can even cut it. All myriad sorts of things like that. So I really do love the concept of sometimes you got to walk away and give yourself permission to do that and don't beat yourself up. So therefore, kind of don't wait to the last minute. Although I perform really well under pressure, it's better if you didn't wait to the last minute. So you got to keep these little reminders. And damn, listen, people, I did this because I just wanted you guys to have some takeaways. And you never know what you're going to learn when you ask crazy questions. You never know what you're going to learn. And again, I definitely, I do talk to myself out loud. I feel like it anchors better. I Please take a walk. My creativity comes to me when I take a walk. Another thing that I have trying to get in the habit of doing, but I am failing miserably, is to have the B-roll camera kicking at all times so that I can use those failures and share them as permission for you guys to fail. You don't need my permission. You got the permission. You just don't know you got it. So, sometimes you gotta let other people see, that's not flawless. Because unfortunately, our industry loves to share the good parts. Ooh, we're gonna share any good parts. Don't nobody see the mess that's in there. And Gordon Ramsay did the world a favor. He let us all see how fucked up a kitchen is, and the amount of fighting, the amount of fighting it takes to make your food taste good. No, no, don't put that there. Pull this over here. What the fuck are you doing? Peel the shrimp. Like, the amount of craziness that goes into your chicken a l'orange is psycho. And they say, like, this is a running joke because I don't think, something that Karen and Baba had experienced before, but we were in San Diego and we went to the neighborhood, and there's this immaculate Italian restaurant in the neighborhood, in the hillside is what they call it. But it's like, what is all of that noise in the kitchen? And I was like, oh, y'all don't know. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm from New York, so this is the thing. If they're not fighting in the kitchen, this food is trash. It's absolute trash. When the Italians are yelling at each other in the kitchen, this will be the best Italian food you ever ate because they're full as, the fuck are you guys doing? I mean, like you can hear it. Like when you hear that coming out of the kitchen, that food gonna be off the hook. And it was probably one of the best Italian restaurants that I think any of us ever been to. I ain't been to Italy yet. So that's a known quantity. If you go to anywhere where there's any Latin type of blood, if there's no fighting in the kitchen, the food ain't good. It's a known quantity, right? When your grandma is cooking, is there yelling in the kitchen?
Of course, why not?
Right?
Yes.
But it's off the hook.
Yeah.
It's off the hook. Oh man, this is cool. Tommy said, when you work with other people, you can stop and put on box gloves. That's true. When you're by yourself, you can't do that. You just gotta yell at yourself and move on. All right, family. I really wanted you guys to get a look inside of the brain of Mary Lou because I have seen her in a highly stressful situation that could have made my job terrible, but she handled it so well. Like we all had to stop and be like, "What just happened?" We didn't even realize what happened, but she smoothed it out. And I was like, you know what? I think there's a lesson in this when it comes to us because we break things all the time and we freak out and we panic and we start beating ourselves up. But you know, the biggest one today was close the gap between idea and execution. Like, fam, that was just. Whew. You got any more heaters like that before we close? Because that one is
Yeah.
cold.
You got to look at your resources, right? Like I joke sometimes that producing is manipulation, but it is in a sense of like manipulating the resources you have at hand, right? There's definitely cases where we needed to do like on the street kind of content that was supposed to be live, but given the resources we had, there was not enough internet to make that happen live. But what resources do we have to film it and edit it and get it up fast? We could do that. And it could still be live-ish,
Ish.
right? It's live-ish.
And it looked good. It looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Probably better. If we want to be real with ourselves, we had Dom Perignon like ideation with like Pepsi situation. And in the end you made it better because it looked closer to Dom Perignon when we was done. We got
Right.
Corbel.
And it's
It still
and we
had
had to look
bubbles.
at like, like we could have fought with the resources for another 3 hours to try to make it work, or we can make a decision on something that would work, and it did work very well, and move on to the next thing because there's other things. You can't like fixate so long, right? Yes, preparation. We preparate what we can. And then also anticipating needs, right? So sometimes I'm like, am I a hoarder or do I just anticipate a lot of needs? Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But when something comes up and you're like, but I have the cable, but I have the thing, I have the tape.
Yeah.
It would be crazy. They were like, does anybody have it? I'm like, here you
Yeah,
go.
here you go. All right. So, all right, last one. For someone who's watching this and they just want to level up, I got like a transferable self production skill, like starting today or this week. Like, what is something that they can do right now to get that producer skill? Give themselves a producer credit.
Ooh, yes. Big picture focus. Can you let something small slide because you are big picture focused? Because you got to convince yourself, like you got to talk to the talent, be like, I'm sorry, we're not doing that. I'm sorry, your hair's not perfect, but we're going to do it anyway. You got to let that slide, even though you're the talent. Let something small slide. Big picture.
Bro, you got to talk to the talent. You're the talent. See, I do talk to the talent. I'll be talking to the talent out
Hmm.
loud. I'm like, I wonder if my neighbors say, who in the room with him and why he yelling at them? Hey, who's over there? Just me. Wait, you yelling at yourself? Yeah. He crazy. He is uncontrollable. The cute ones is always like that.
Yeah, there's definitely something in everybody's workflow that's not moving the needle, but you're fixated on. Like there's something that you can like, that's fine, let it run in the background, but it does not need to stop the production
Comparison
because it
Monster
can't.
tried to slide up in here in the last week or two, and I had to take it out back and beat the black off of it. But y'all be thinking that we're immune. We ain't immune, bro. We are not immune. Like Comparison Monster tried to get me, and I was like, yo, I'll knock you to. You gonna leave me alone, bro. Ain't nobody got time for you. Like it just happens.
Right.
And so just please know that is a real deal situation, you know. And I surround yourself by cool people. So I'm lucky that there's a Lou, somewhere nearby. We got Paul, Aubrey, AT, always. I was helping AT this week. We were just having a conversation, like getting her ready for, driving Miss Daisy. And, even she says things and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta remember that. Gotta put that into the back of your head, You just kinda gotta remember what's going on. And it's not how you do things, fam. A lot of times it's what you take away from it and how you recover it. You know what I mean? Because most of the stuff that we do can be done again. So, main character energy, let your audience be the main character. Get out of your own way, get out of your head. And thank you guys for coming through and hanging out with us today. I hope you get better faster. Whiskey always works.
That's true. That is a big production secret.
Whiskey always works.
Whiskey.
Whiskey always works. This was super, super cool. Thank you guys, people. Let me hit you with a little switch real quick. Boom.
You have been unstuck with creators Unstuck, Doc Rock, and Mary Lou Mando.
All right, when you're feeling better, how can they find you?
I am all over the internet at Mary Lou Mandel. You can find me on all the usual places, and a couple times this year in Doc's hair.
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, we got our first production coming up quite soon, and you can find me all
Yep.
over the interwebs at DLCRLCK, just round about everywhere. I've been doing a lot of stuff on IG, but trust me, fam, stick to YouTube. We'll talk about that later, but just keep your focus on YouTube. That is the absolute answer. Thank you guys for watching, and you know we say around here on Creators Unstuck. See you. He's stupid. Bye.